hospitals, they're kind of an ominous place. They're somewhere you go when you're sick with the hope of getting well. But you go because you're sick. We don't necessarily want to go to a hospital because it means we're sick. But hopefully we go and we get well. I say hopefully because you go to see the doctors, and hopefully the doctors will take care of you, will take care of everything, and you'll be fine. When someone is in a hospital, I pray for them. But I also pray for the doctors, for the nurses, for the caretakers, those that are taking care of them. I pray for their thinking. I pray for their hands. I pray for them to do what they need to do to be there. And why do I do that? Because they're only human. And we want God to be involved. But doctors, like the rest of us, are only human. In Mark chapter 5, we come across a lady that for 12 years has been suffering with some sort of bleeding. For 12 years she had suffered, and it says she'd suffered at the hands of the doctors. She'd spent all her money. I don't know if the doctors had taken advantage of her and couldn't help her. I don't know if they tried but weren't able to. But all of a sudden she hears about Jesus. And so she goes to Jesus for help. I want to pick it up in Mark chapter 5. I want to read verses 27 and through 29. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him and touched his cloak. She was in a crowd. But because she thought, if I touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Something that's overlooked, I think, in this tremendous act of faith by this woman was she should have never been close to Jesus. Not saying security was lax. Disciples should have formed a perimeter around him. But because of her condition. See, she was unclean. If you are in a crowd, you need to let the crowd know you are unclean. The idea of unclean dealt with you had something potentially infectious and others could get it from you, so you needed to tell the crowd. But she didn't. Instead, she sneaks up. I don't know, did she work her way through the crowd? I don't know how she got close to Jesus, but she sneaks up and she touches his cloak. Picture this here, the whole crowd and everything, and how is she doing this? The disciples even say, hey, there's a crowd around you, Jesus, when Jesus kind of wants to know what's going on and who had touched him. But Jesus persists. And eventually, the woman comes forward. I want to pick it up and read a couple more verses, starting in verse 33. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, she told him the whole truth. He said to her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. She was afraid. Why was she afraid? Well, because she had violated some laws. The idea of unclean, touching someone, being separate from the crowd. I don't know what all laws were there, but she had violated all those laws. Not only that, but she's in this crowd. And she purposely touches Jesus. See, by touching this rabbi, she would potentially make the rabbi unclean. Jesus' response to all of this? He stopped. He could have kept going, but he didn't. He stopped. He wanted the connection. He wanted the relationship with this woman. And we see that partially in his words. Go and be free from your suffering. It's the same with us. We reach out, we touch Jesus. The idea of striving to be free from the suffering as we go through this world. It may be physical suffering. It may be stress. It may be a relationship. It may be worry. But we want to be free from it. Reach out. Touch Jesus. Let him help you go free from your suffering.